The All-Star break has come and gone, so it's time to start positioning ourselves and our teams for that fantasy championship push. Whether you're fighting for that last playoff spot, whether you're fighting for a top seed and a bye, there are lots of players, lots of things we could be doing to help increase our chances of getting where we want to be by season's end. Don't give up yet. Finish what you started. Keep grinding. There's still hope. There's still plenty of baseball left to be played and a chance to move up into a playoff spot. We're going to go over a bunch of players that can help you immediately in the short term and can help you throughout the rest of the season. We're also going to have a prospect to stash, and we're going to go over a bunch of players that you need to throw on your watch list. Keep an eye on them to see if these improvements that they've made or this continued success sticks and then warrants our attention as a possible waiver wire pickup. You know, we're also going to recap my previous waiver wire video, and there might be an absolutely insane punishment this time, so you want to make sure to stick around and watch that clip. And we'll finish this off with shallow league ads for 8, 10, 12 team leagues in Yahoo. As always, I appreciate everyone watching these videos. If you're liking it, give a thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed, and I know a ton of you aren't, hit that sub button. Let's try and get to 1,000 in the next month or so. That would be sweet. But if you hate this video, whatever, hit that thumbs down. Let me know what you don't like, and I'll try and improve it next time. Enough with the rambling. For those of you that are new here, I'm Chris, and welcome to Number 2 Sports. Okay, first up, we have a guy that I've talked about a few times on here. He's coming back from injury. He just got traded at the trade deadline, and that's Shane Bieber from the Toronto Blue Jays. So like I said, I have talked about Justin Bieber a few times now. I went back and forth about including him in the shallow league segment or the main waiver wire section. I like to go with the main waiver wire section because I want to tell you my exact thoughts about how I think he's going to do in his new home in Toronto. Now, Bieber is definitely a spin-first pitcher. From 2019 to 2022, his slider is one of the best in baseball. His knuckle curve is also filthy. And in 2024, his cutter just absolutely destroyed batters. In one of those starts in 2024, he only had 2 of them. It went 10 for 22 for whiffs without a single ball in play in one of those games with a 59% CSW. Bieber won't overpower you with velo. His 4-seamer sits around 92 to 94 miles per hour with decent extension at 6.8 feet, but he has elite control as he's demonstrated throughout his entire career, and he's able to locate the ball on the edges, on the lower half, on the upper half extremely well. I think his biggest thing though is his ability to conceal his pitches. I think batters have a very difficult time picking up his pitches as he gets a lot of called strikes, and the batter looks completely locked, either expecting something else pre-pitch or reading the spin and the release point too late. All Bieber's release points are very similar, so it means it hinders any visual cue that a batter could have when they're anticipating what pitch he might be throwing. It makes it harder to identify the pitch type and location early in its trajectory, which is a big deal because hitters nowadays, with all these pitchers having such high velocities, the time that they have to be able to recognize the pitch and prepare for their swing is just so minimal. They need to rely on these cues to anticipate and prepare their swings. Now, I'm not saying there aren't any red flags. If you look at his savant pages over the years, if you take out 2024, they've been going in the wrong way. His velocity has also been dipping, but in his latest rehab assignment, he actually touched 94 miles per hour, which will be fine for a spin first guy like Bieber. Where things went wrong for him in 2023 was his fastball velo was absolutely dying. I don't think he had the feel for his changeup, and his curveball spin just wasn't what it had been in years past. It looks like Bieber's improved in every single one of those areas so far in his rehab assignments in 2025, evidenced by his fastball velo being around 93, 94 miles per hour. His curveball has a nice dip to it, and it looks like he's got that feel for his changeup back. Honestly, in 2024, in those first 2 starts, he did look completely back. He'd worked all off season with driveline baseball and really put in the work, and it showed in those 2 starts, albeit it being obviously really small sample size. Bieber is a big time pitcher. He dominates big time hitters. He's pitched exceptionally well in his new home in Toronto, and he looks locked in. His command's on point. He's been an ace throughout his entire career, and I think Bieber's ceiling is a lot higher than people are giving him credit for. I would be trying to add him in every 12-team league that he's still available. The Blue Jays have Mad Max looking like he's 25 again. Why can't do the same thing for Biebs? I'm curious about your guys' thoughts about Shane Bieber, so let me know if you guys think I'm too optimistic about his 2025 outlook, or if you're trying to add him in your 12-man leagues. Next up, we have a starting pitcher who just rejoined the rotation a couple weeks ago, and that's JT Ginn off the Athletics. Since he rejoined the rotation, he's pitched extremely well, only allowing 1 earned run over 11 innings with 6 strikeouts. Ginn's rotation spot should be secure now, with the Athletics shipping out JP Sears at the trade deadline, and he's is just an elite ground ball pitcher with exceptional command. His arsenal is a sinker, slider, cutter, and changeup, so he won't be the most consistent or biggest bat misser going forward. His changeup does have some serious drop to it. Cutter has great horizontal movement, and I'd honestly like to see him throw it more. I'd like to see him throw his cutter and his changeup more going forward. He only threw them 9 times combined in his last outing. Against Houston, he attacked righties with his sinker and slider, and honestly got a little bit lucky because he served up some meatballs that just didn't get punished by Houston at all. But with great command, ground ball percentage, and with his expected ERA and his expected FIP both being higher than his actuals, you can expect some positive regression to close out the year, especially his home run to fly ball percentage, which is sitting at 10% higher than the MLB average right now. Ginn is the perfect example of a player that can go unnoticed at the end of the year because he doesn't have these godly strikeout totals. People can get distracted, start focusing on football a little bit more, and he just slips under the radar, but he can be so useful in 12-team leagues. He should provide solid ratios and would be like a high floor, lower ceiling type of fantasy play. I know it's not the most exciting thing to trust an A's player just because their home ballpark balls fly out of their left, right, and center, but with his ground ball percentage being so dominant, I think he can survive in his home games, and then he can be exceptional on the road. His schedule also looks very nice for the next month or so. I am very intrigued to see how Ginn does to close out the year. Next up, we have a former top prospect who finally looks like he's going to get a chance to have everyday at-bats for the Baltimore Orioles since they dealt Ryan O'Hearn a Roman Liriano, and that is Coby Mayo. Now, Mayo has lost a little bit of steam in the prospect rankings, and it's partially due because Baltimore not giving him the chance to really get everyday at-bats, and also his first stint in the majors last year just went as poorly as you can imagine, but he's always been really well. He's always fared really well against AAA pitching throughout his career. He has legit raw power and the ability to hit for average with good bat-to-ball skills, and he's willing to take walks. His walk rate is always superb. So if we go back to last year with Mayo seemingly having nothing left to prove against AAA pitching, he got called up, and again, like I said, it went as poorly as you could imagine. It was just an absolute disaster. Mayo hit 98 with 22 strikeouts and no extra base hits over 46 plate appearances. His contact rate dipped down to just 56% in the majors compared to very solid 71.5% in AAA. And yeah, I know his first stint was just absolutely awful, so he doesn't really have anything to fall back onto, but the Baltimore organization really did him no favors at all, or really haven't done any of the recent prospects any favors either. And yes, I am talking about Kyle Stowers. Now, I don't follow the organization too closely. Maybe if someone who's a big Baltimore Orioles fan could elaborate down in the comments below, but it just seems like they have like a refusal to play their young guys, or like a refusal to give them having a chance or an extended look at everyday at-bats. But in regards to Mayo now, after the trade deadline, I think they have no choice but to make Mayo an everyday player. They need someone to fill O'Hearn and Liriano's spots. And regardless of that, Mayo has really started to heat up the dish lately since being recalled on May 31st. He's maintained a 749 OPS, he's starting to bat more against lefties, and if we shrink that further to June 14th, he's had 8 extra base hits, an OPS north of 830, and walking nearly as much as he's striking out. He's blasted 2 home runs in his last 6 games, and I really hope the kid is just starting to solidify himself in the majors. Mayo has excellent bat speed and just the ability to absolutely tear the cover off the baseball. He's constantly getting balls hit in play with over 100 miles per hour exit velocity. He's reduced his strikeout rate by more than half, 26% compared to last year, and he's shown a real ability and willingness to just take his walks, which I just think shows a lot about him as a player and his character. If you're a young guy not getting to play much, it would be so hard to not just swing out of your shoes each plate appearance because you don't know how many more at-bats you're going to get. But he sticks with it, he takes his walks when given, and I like that about him, and I find it impressive. Now, Mayo has also made adjustments, especially since May 31st. He has narrowed and slightly opened his stance, remaining taller throughout his swing, and dropped his back elbow. He's more deep in the box, closer to the plate, and connecting with the baseball almost 6 inches closer to the front of the plate, which again, like I've said, helps with the ability to pull the baseball more frequently. And it looks like these slight changes are really starting to pay off. His rolling expected WOBA was on the steady incline up, and all his expected stats are performing better than his actuals. I'm willing to take the chance on Mayo in 12-team leagues. I think the best case scenario for him is like an Austin Riley type player, and obviously he's not at that level yet at all. I'm just saying if I had to choose a player comp, that's who it would be. We have all seen this year what Stowers has been able to do when given the opportunity, and Mayo's a better prospect than he is. Like how my brother puts Mayo on absolutely everything, disgusting or not, I'm excited to see this kid get his shot. Next up, we probably have one of the biggest trade deadline winners from a fantasy perspective, and that is Randy Rodriguez from the San Francisco Giants. I've already talked about this guy lots in a holds league where he's just one of the best relief pitchers out there along with Cade Smith. His stuff is just electric and he's racking up holds left, right, and center. But with the Giants trading Duvall at the deadline, he's going to step into that closer role, or at least is expected to, and he should dominate. Honestly, I think he could have been a closer a long time ago. His stuff is just electric. His arsenal is electric. I love looking at his Savant page. It just makes me, all tingly inside. Rodriguez has just legit been one of the best setup men in the game all season long. The first save opportunity the Giants had tonight on Friday, it was Rodriguez that came in extras and slammed the door shut on the New York Mets. This kid has a bright future. I think he's a must grab, especially if you're searching for saves this late in the season. He can easily and probably will finish as a top 5 closer to end the year. You gotta go get him if he's still somehow floating around on your waiver wire right now. Next up, we have a prospect to stash. I know it feels weird stashing guys this late in the season, but may only be for a couple weeks, and that's Dylan Beavers from the Baltimore Orioles. As the people that have been watching me all year know, I'm done making predictions from when teams are going to call up their prospects ever since the Bubba Chandler fiasco. He's still down in AAA, by the way. Like, what is going on? But I was honestly hoping that Beavertail would be called up after the Mullins and Liriano trade, just opening a spot for him to get everyday at bats in that Baltimore roster. But per Baltimore's GM Mike Elias, he said that he hopes him and Basallo debut sometime later this year. Who knows what that means? It's pretty vague, but at least he did say that they are going to debut in 2025, and we're not going to have another Bubba Chandler situation on our hands here. So let's talk about Beavers, and man, has he been impressive at AAA so far this year. His under the hood metrics are off the charts, batting over 300 with 14 home runs and 22 steals, along with a 916 OPS. Just make your pants kind of tight. Fantasy potential. And the thing I like most about Beavers, besides his sick last name, guy probably gets so much tail, no pun intended, is that he's made such huge improvements from 2024 to 2025, which I love to see in young players. He's increased his exit velocity from 83 to 89, hard hit percentage from 20 to 39, his zone contact percentage from 78 to 89, contact percentage 77 to 84, and his swinging strike percentage down from 11 to 6. As you can see, Beavers has an extremely friendly fantasy profile, and if or when he gets called up, I'd be looking to add him to 12-man leagues just to see if he hits the ground running, because I think he has a legit 5-category upside. All right, you know what? We got a bonus player alert. Let's go here. It's someone I've already talked about a month ago, and that's Colson Montgomery off the Chicago White Sox. So I'm going to keep it brief, because like I said, I talked about Colson as a potential pickup on this July 5th video. If you want more in-depth analysis than I'm going to give here, go give that video a look. But like I said in that video, Montgomery's power is just unmatched, but I was worried it could be severely hindered with his swing and miss potential and his batting profile. So why am I including him here again in another waiver wire video, you ask? Well, he's only striking out 23.5% of the time, and that's totally manageable. You couple that with the fact that he's just tearing the cover off the baseball right now, hitting 6 home runs in his last 9 games, and he's playing himself into the conversation of almost a must-grab player if you're in need of corner infield or middle infield help right now. I honestly don't know if you'll maintain a sub 25% strikeout rate, but if he does, with this kind of power and the consistent contact he's making right now and dual position eligibility, he needs to be grabbed off waiver wires just to see if he can keep this up, to see if he can keep his strikeout in the sub 20s and that contact that he's making now more consistently going. This may just be his hottest stretch of the season, and he could go back to striking out over 30% of the time, and his contact rate plummets, and he could be useless. And that's a possibility, and if so, you can just drop him and move on. But if some of this sticks, I want a piece of it. It's no guarantee by far, but you guys know I love upside, so I'm chasing him. One of the things that gives me hope that this production could stick is just his bat speed is insane. There are only 3 players with a higher bat speed than Colson Montgomery in 2025. Kyle Schwarber, Jack Caglione, and Aaron Judge. That's it. Also, just check out this defense at shortstop. Man, this is a phenomenal catch. Almost as good as mine and my buddies here.
Hey, go.
Okay, for this segment, I'm just going to go through some names pretty quick here for players that maybe you want to put on your watch list. Just keep an eye on to see if they have continued success. And if they do, that's when we want to start considering them as potential waiver wire pickups. So first up, we have Ryan Bergert, and he just got traded from the San Diego Padres to the Kansas City Royals. And it looks like for the Royals, he's going to immediately claim a spot in that starting rotation. And that's all we really wanted for him, was just a secure role that he's going to pitch every 5 to 6 days. His four-seamer is nice vert at 19 inches, and the slider is great. He has a sweeper sinker changeup to close out his arsenal, and I really like his potential. I'm curious to see how he's going to do to close out the year. Definitely someone to keep an eye on to see how he does in his newly found home, Kansas City. The next player to keep your eye on is the old dog, Yu Darvish, with just the unlimited arsenal. He's got every pitch in his bag, supposedly. Now, he's had two completely polar opposite starts in his last two times taken to the mound. The first one, he just got absolutely obliterated, couldn't throw anything for strikes. And the second one, all he could do with every pitch in his bag was just throw strikes. I am so in for that second version of him. I just have no idea what we're going to get the next time out. So that's why I'm putting him here. Because if he can start to pile up good outing after good outing, maybe he's back, maybe he shook off the rust, and I think he could be useful to close out the year. Okay, and another guy to watch is a guy I talked about last waiver wire video, Tyler Locklear, and what's changed is, well, he's got traded to Arizona, and they clearly have an open spot at one bag since they traded Josh Naylor back to the Mariners, so he should get everyday bats, or at least a chance at everyday bats in that lineup compared to Seattle. And again, I won't go into a lot, so you can watch that video if you want more in-depth detail, but he's just demolishing baseballs in AAA right now. I like his potential, I like his upside. I want to see how he does in his second stint in the majors. And the same thing for Jordan Lawler too, with the Geno trade, opening up a spot at third base. They've lost two infielders now. The one thing that's different with him though is he's recovering from a hamstring injury, so I don't know when he's going to get back, but we've talked about him a lot. Who knows if he's ever going to live up to his potential, but again, he's a 5 category upside guy who might have a chance for everyday at bats again when he's healthy, even though his first stint this year was just atrocious. But a lot of these guys are struggling to begin their careers, get sent back down, and come back up, and they're good. Last up, we'll do Nasty Nelson, Nestor Cortez. He's been a decent end of the rotation guy in years past. He's going to play for a great team. I'll be curious to see how he looks if he can limit the damage, eat up innings, get wins, get quality starts, and have decent strikeout numbers without just totally imploding your ratios. All right, now it's time for the recap segment. We're going to go over my video that I posted on July 19th, and there's a lot of good guys that I mentioned that are coming back off the IL real soon that could be legit difference makers in the second half of the season. Now, first up, we have Luke Keeschall, and nothing has changed since I talked about him back on that waiver wire video, except for the fact that he's just inching closer and closer to being done with his rehab assignment. Now, he's looked decent on his rehab assignment. He's picked up some hits, he's stealing some bags, and he has some hard hit balls. I still think he has massive potential for fantasy managers in need of hits, steals, and counting stats to close out the year. He could be a legit difference maker. Next up on the list, we have Spencer Arrighetti, and similar to Luke, Mr. Spaghetti only has one rehab assignment left, and he's looked great. And again, it was just a thumb injury, so it wasn't the dreaded elbow or shoulder injury to pitchers where he could have lingering effects. When he's fully stretched out, he should be fully back up to speed. I still think Arrighetti is one of the guys with the most upside and most potential that you could still grab off the wire right now. I expect big things from him to close out the year. He'll be a high upside strikeout player playing in a good team. Next up, we had Zebby Matthews, and honestly, he's had pretty mixed results. 2 bad games, 1 really good one since he returned to the rotation. He had a rough outing against Colorado and Coors, where he just didn't have the feel for his command. He pitched way better against Washington, though, blanked them over 6 innings with 7 Ks and a 35% CSW. And then going into his last start against Boston, it was rough from a box score perspective. He got unlucky with Harrison Bader being indecisive in a play in the field, and the bullpen allowed an inherited runner to score, adding to his line. He's sitting at 97-98 with his 4-seamer. He has a nice slider right around 90 miles per hour as well. Overall, his command was great. You'd like to see him have a little bit more accuracy for the balls that he's throwing in the zone. You'd like to see him dot the edges more or get up a little higher on those fastballs. One, he left right over the heart of the plate and he got swatted for a line drive home run. He hung another couple changeups as well, which went for hits. I think that precision in the zone will come with time. I am very in on him for 2026, and I do think he can still close out the season strong and be very useful for fantasy managers in 12-team leagues. And last up, we have Sean Manaea, who had 2 solid 5-inning outings in a row. His velocity was dipping a bit, which was a scare, but no issues surfaced. I love his 4-seamer. It's insane how big of a difference dropping his arm slot to mimic Chris Sale has done for his career post-30s. I want this guy on my roster in all 12-team leagues. Don't hit my nuts too hard.
Why'd you have to throw it that hard?
Okay, now it's time for the shallow league segment. Again, all these roster rates are going to be based off Yahoo percentages, and it's going to be for people in 8-man leagues, 10-man leagues, and some 12-man leagues. So make sure to check it out, see if any of the guys are floating on your wire that can make a difference for your squad to close out the year. First up, we got Roman Anthony, and it was just confirmed that he's going to stick in the leadoff spot to close out the year, which is going to help increase his run potential. It'll get him more at-bats each game, and he just hasn't looked overwhelmed at the plate at all this year. Also, expected stats are the same, or if not higher than his actuals. His average exit velocity and hard hit percentage are at the very top of the league. Just look at this chart. Like I was saying with Kurtz for weeks and weeks, his potential and upside is almost unmatched. I would want him on every team for leagues that he's somehow still available. There's no way there's a guy at the end of your bench with more upside than Roman Anthony right now, but maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm tripping. Let me know in the comments down below if you're in a league that has Roman Anthony on your wire right now and who you'd rather keep on your bench than picking him up. Next up, we have Brayan Bello, and he just continues to pitch well. He's so much less chaotic than he has been in years past. His approach to righties is solid with sinkers and sweepers. He attacks lefties with cutters and changeups, and honestly, I think he's a very solid SP3 with potential for SP2 upside depending on the matchup. There's a lot worse guys that you could have on your roster than Bello. Next up, we have Brandon Lowe, and he may have even been dropped in some super shallow leagues. I think he'll easily finish as a top 5 second baseman to close out the year. All his hard hit metrics, all his power metrics have improved from 2024. The only thing the guy needs to do is just stay healthy. Next up, we have Ryan O'Hearn, and the guy's power is almost as massive as his wife's cannons. Hello. Like, name a better combo though. The dude is absolutely crushing it. I like the changes that he made though, and all his advanced power metrics are in the upper half of the league, and he honestly should be performing a little bit better. He has a new home now in San Diego, so that's a completely different lineup around him, which is a lot better than where he's coming from. I would bank on some positive regression to close out the year. I'm just curious where he's going to fit into the Padres order, but regardless, he's going to be surrounded by a lot better players, so he should have more RBI opportunities and more improvements on his counting stats. Next up, we have Kerry Carpenter, and if you're in a daily lock league where you can plug him in against righties where he's an 834 OPS, he is fantasy gold. He's a super underrated source of power, but it's just hard for weekly lock leagues because he's going to sit against a majority, if not all, lefties. But if he stays healthy and keeps smashing, he's going to earn himself more at bats. He was on fire before he got hurt, homering 3 times in 5 games, and it looks like he's picked up right where he's left off. In a daily lock league, this guy is awesome, but I'm even making the case in weekly lock leagues too, where you can look ahead, plan ahead, see how many lefties he's going to face that week, and adjust your lineup accordingly. Next up, we have Tyler Freeman, and he's leading off for the Rockies. He's going to collect hits, he's going to steal bases. His power metrics are underwhelming, but it gets a little boost playing in Coors. He doesn't whiff or strike out. He kind of reminds me of like a Steven Kwan type guy, where he's going to help you on hits, steals, and hopefully runs. Next up, we have Cade Smith, and he's guy I talked about a bunch this year. Is one of the best high leverage receivers in the entire MLB. He is a fantasy stud if your league counts holds. And I talked about in my video a couple weeks ago about the news surrounding maybe the rumors that Clase would got traded. Well, he didn't end up having to get traded. He's getting investigated for those gambling accusations, so it looks like Cade's going to step into that closer role, and he should be lights out for that Guardians team the rest of the year. I think he could easily be a top 5 closer to finish the season. We keep going with Luis Gil, and he's finally back. He's going to pitch this Saturday, and it feels like I've been harping on him for so long for people to stash him. In his last rehab outing, he threw 75 pitches, struck out 7, and allowed only 1 earned run in 4.1 innings. I think he almost needs to be rostered universally for his immense strikeout potential and just pitching on that great team. He should be in line for plenty of wins. He was the AL Rookie of the Year for a reason. And last up, a guy I've already talked about in this video, saving the best stash candidate for last, Mr. Arrighetti. Mr. Spaghetti Spencer Boy. Since I've already talked about him, I'll keep it short. I love his pitch mix. I love his arsenal. I love his potential. Houston always seems to get the most out of every pitcher that they have. Lots of strikeout potential. He could be a legit difference maker for the fantasy playoff stretch run. Also, don't forget about Jesus Sanchez, who just got traded to Houston. He's made big strides in his plate discipline. He's chasing less. He's whiffing less. He still has elite raw power potential. He's pulling the ball in the air the most in his entire career. I think this is a huge plus for his fantasy value, and I'm excited to see how he's going to close out the year in that Astros lineup. And one last person to add is Bryce Miller off the Mariners. He started his rehab assignment today, and he looked fantastic, and I know I am biased being a Mariners fan, but I was super high on him coming into the season. In that rehab outing, he was sitting around 97 miles per hour with his fastball, which was fantastic. He pitches in a great home park, and I think he'll be a high upside strikeout guy with the ability to deliver low ratios. He's the type of guy that if he was dropped in your league and he's somehow still floating around on your wire, it would be like, pause this video run, grab him, add him now. But I think that's it for this waiver wire video. If you have any questions, comments, put them down below. I'll respond to every single one, every video. If you like this video, hit a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, let me know down below if you want to see something different. Let's try and get to 1,000 subs. I know a lot of you guys that watch aren't subscribed, so if you do like it, hit that button. That would be sweet. Let's go. Let's get to quadruple digits, baby. As always, enjoy the weekend, take care, and I'll see you next week.